shipment. I'm now going to take you through each of these steps in more detail, and we'll see at the end of this how we can make some time savings from that 26.5 months, which is the current industry practice that we saw on the previous slide as well. So in order to get into the clinic quickly, we need to build a roadmap and address some of the key pharmaceutical challenges. And this is how we do this equation. Which pre-formulation studies do we want to perform? We want to understand the API and the developability from the outset, which really helps drive our formulation strategy. We want to look at solid state characterization, evaluate solubility and permeability, use in silico tools to predict DCS classification, understand biopharmaceutics. We then want to think about developing and screening formulations which are suitable for animal and clinical use, and how can we extrapolate from in vitro in silico preclinical studies to human. And what are we going to take forward to the most suitable first in human dosage form and the associated manufacturing strategy? Is it going to be compounding? Are we going to enable intermediates to the pharmacy? So we do this equation with developing, say, HME, SDD, or multi-particulate intermediates and shipping it to our pharmacy, who can then compound it for bedside preparation. Or is it going to be full GMP manufacture that can expedite the development pathway? Resolving some of these questions really helps define that development strategy, and that can expedite the development. And at Quotient, we use the tools that we talked about. So there's in silico tools to supplement and de-risk that early stage drug development process, to support formulation development and clinical trial design, from DCS classification in assessing biopharmaceutics to building PBPK models to predict PK and guide preclinical studies, application of that model to predict human performance in single and multiple ascending dose studies. Once the development challenges of the drug are understood, then the Quotient team need to consider how best to supply that drug product to the development teams. The first option is to use the pharmacy preparation, as I mentioned, where we can ship the API or intermediate clinical to the clinical site. And that really gives us a high level of flexibility, but limits the dosage form to simple products such as solution, whether a suspension, sterile solutions, if you can do sterile compounding, drug and capsule. It allows that rapid initiation of your clinical trial with the minimal CMC investment, but doesn't provide a pathway to supplying drug product beyond the first in human, as that pharmacy will not have the capability to scale the process and support things like method qualification and stability. The second option is to adopt a conventional GMP manufacturing route, where we can manufacture product well in advance of the clinical study at fixed dose strengths that's shipped to the clinical site. And during the conduct of the clinical study, the doses are configured by using combinations of fixed dose strengths. So that overcomes the limitations of the pharmacy preparation by increasing the range of the types of formulation and the complexity of the types of formulations, which we can look at, which is useful for poorly soluble molecules. But it does limit their dose flexibility, and we do need upfront CMC investment and time to complete these activities prior to the clinical evaluation, as well as additional stability, testing requirements, etc. We do have the advantage that we have an established manufacturing process to support the subsequent patient trials. There's a hybrid approach, which I talked about in terms of supplying intermediates for GMP manufactured to the pharmacy as well, which can support in terms of still using small batch sizes, having that reduced CMC investment and allowing a range of formulation options to be explored.